we speak with the words and wisdoms of criticism that make people get mad at us. We're snobs.
Yeah, that's how we're going to start this. Totally.
That is how we're going to start it, people. Tonight. It's just right.
Oh, here we go. Alrighty, it's Tuesday night. It's Scuba and The Ry. We're hanging out, having fun.
What up, people?
Things are a little loud and intense. Let's take it down a couple of notches.
Boisterous I am.
Boisterous.
I drank one bottle of caffeinated drinks, and then I have another one opened up. So, yeah, a little bit, it'll get me through tonight.
Yep. How we doing in the chats? People's coming in, hopefully. People's coming in, hanging out, doing what we do. How's our audio? How's our audio and whatnot? We got a new mic for Ry. Hopefully he doesn't sound like he's like 10,000.
See this mic? He's in my face. It's in my face right here.
Yeah, what he said. Alrighty. So things look good. Things look great. Alrighty. We're just gonna kick this off. Oh, sounds bueno. Awesome. Thank you.
Thumbs up. Thank you.
Alrighty. So as always, start off with, paying the bills. Hey, Professor Chili, how you doing, my friend? All right. First thing and foremost, and of course, is a thank you to Syrinscape for the wonderful soundboards and music that we will be hearing. Again, this is the custom set for Scuba and The Ry, taking a compilation of a couple of different tavern musics, because, we like to sit and chill on Tuesdays, kind of adventuring over the weekend. We need some downtime.
This is a good way to downtime, talk about a lot of other fun, exciting things.
Yeah.
As the rest of the week is busy for me, at least for me.
That's always busy. Today, the last few days, even we had some reason somebody decided to schedule a holiday last weekend, and it just threw everything all kinds of crazies.
I like that 3-day weekend. It gives me one more day to sleep.
I'm not disagreeing. But yeah, check out Syrinscape.com to take a look at all the various sound sets and whatnot. There's several, and yeah, Epic Games need epic sound. It's enough said on that one. Alrighty, next thing is first and foremost, thank you to the moderation team and the admin team. You guys are awesome and amazing, and without you, I would probably have gone completely crazy and wanted to blow up Earth Prime by now. Reference to Crisis Infinite Earths and storyline. So, yeah, thank you to all of you. And with that, thank you also to the community. You guys' support is much appreciated and always loved. For all those bits, subs, follows, everything, checking us out on YouTube. Scuba Studio YouTube, check all of our content there. You guys are awesome and amazing, and much love and much respect.
Thank you.
And we do just this show. We do have a couple other ones. So if you happen to stumble across the internet and find us, awesome. Thank you. Welcome. If you want to see some adventuring, Saturdays, I got a couple of D&D games going on. First one, gotta take that fur baby. Understand. Thank you for the sub, for the 2-month sub, Justify. Thank you, sir. D&D games. That's right. I was talking about D&D games.
D&D.
I stream 2 D&D games a week now. I do one at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. We're calling it the Twilight Gap. Is it? Twilight's Gleaming. Why am I having such an issue with this? I say your memory is the first thing to go. But yeah, Twilight's Gleaming, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. We're going to have a new cast member joining us on Saturday. Really stoked to introduce her and see what kind of shenanigans she brings to the table. We introduced a new cast member last week, and he is definitely making an impression. Also, Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, we do another D&D game, which of course is The Challenge Accepted, Season 2. These guys have made it into the city of Paradon and are beginning their investigation after having a hearty breakfast with pies.
Pies. Was it pecan pie? Or Sweeney Todd pies?
It was column A, column B.
Okay, that sounds good.
Anyways.
Nuts galore.
Yeah, okay.
Pecans, people, pecans.
So, all right. So we did that. We have those. So all those fun things. And of course, now we can get into our first segment, which is What's Up, our fictional moment where we talk about the various things we've been up to and what we've been up to. Obviously, certain game conversations we'll save for State of Game a little bit later in the show. So, yep. Alrighty, so Ry, what have you been up to, my friend?
What have I been up to? Well,
you had to have been up to something. I mean, you had a 3-day weekend. You had to have traveled.
3-day weekend. Well, I didn't really travel this weekend. It was more of a low-key because it's the first weekend after the start of grad school. So, I have to get into the mindset of school. So I have to, plan accordingly because what I'm coming to learn is grad school is a ton of reading. A ton of reading. Mostly reading, research, writing, discussion. So I did some of that over the weekend. I also did some gaming. Did some reading the rest of the biography that I'm reading with Elton John, the book. Almost done with it, so I'm enjoying what I'm reading. There's a lot of crazy stuff that he got through. A lot of stuff. Over the weekend, I did tap into some nostalgia in gaming. I'll talk about that later. Watched a couple movies, went to a party on Saturday, and just kicked it around town, just kept it relaxed and chill. Had a fun adventure of going from random BJ's Wholesale Club yesterday, trying to find toothpaste. That was kind of fun, actually, splendor, because I like traveling, so that was the most travels I had, driving all the way out to Chesapeake Square and back.
To go to BJ's for toothpaste?
There was a specific kind of toothpaste that we were looking for. And I had the time, and I was like, what the heck? Let's just do it. It's fun. I like driving, so.
That's
Get
fair.
it in.
Get in, get
And
out.
then we celebrated, me and my girlfriend Angelica celebrated our monthsary last Wednesday, which was the 2nd. And we went to the Black Pelican restaurant in Greenbrier.
How was it?
And it was delightful. I got the pecan crusted mahi, and I can tell you I enjoyed it. Well, yeah, I am an English major, and my brain's already fried, and I've only read just a little bit of the 6 books I have to read. So I see that, Professor. Salute you. I'll survive. All right. So that's all I have going on. Other than that, I'll save the rest for the rest of the show. Keep the mystery there on the games and the movies we'll talk about. So. Oh yeah, and my book is out there published if you want to check it out. Lulu.com. The Things We Think Alone. Check it out.
Cool. Do you have a link that you can drop in the chat?
I can. I'll go look that up while you dive into your what's been happening.
My what's and happening. I actually have to start off with going. I'm a little irritated.
Irritated.
I'm really irritated. So let me tell you something. We had optometry appointments scheduled for last week. Whole family affair, because it's easy to schedule all at once, even in COVID, and we had to reschedule a couple of times. But check it. So my dad gives me a call, and we were talking about a friend of mine's vehicle that he dropped off in my parking lot to kind of hang out and whatever. We're talking about what it would take to get it fixed. Well, a little later in the day, I go to get in the Jeep, and I put it in drive, but the shifter did not go to drive. It stopped at neutral. So a few minutes later, come to find out that the my neighbor who's a mechanic came over, took a look, and says, "Yeah, your shifter cable's busted." It's like, well,
that's never good.
No, it's not. So what I had to do was, and I had plans in the evening, so I had a finite window Friday to sit there and get and work on this. So of course I called my insurance, had the tow guy come out. His initial projection to be out there was at 4:30. About 5:30 he showed up. And when he showed up, it was okay. Takes the vehicle, and by then I'm in the middle of a call, or in the middle of a production session, helping out with a game session somebody else was doing, and I was recording it for them. So, and then it's like Saturday comes around, Sunday comes around, Monday comes around, and then today I got a call from the mechanic. And he's like, "Well, yep, your shifter cable's definitely busted. I'm like, yeah, I know that. How long? Well, the part's on back order.
Back order.
Yes, the part's on back order. I'm like, okay, so what's the bad news? Because obviously, if you're having a vehicle towed to a mechanic shop, they're going to do a full assessment to figure out what's wrong with it. Because, you know, we never know exactly what's wrong with their vehicles. There's so many moving parts. And I'm not a professional mechanic, so I don't know every nut and bolt. Yeah. So he then tells me, well, you have a sensor that's having a malfunction. It's like, yeah, I'm aware of that. I see the engine light come on every so often. It doesn't seem to... I've had the code cleared. It doesn't seem to be anything affecting the vehicle. He's like, yeah, well... So it's like, okay, how much is that going to cost? And is it in a kind of the same place you got to go for the shifter cable? I don't know any better. He goes, no, it's kind of on the opposite end. I'm like, okay. How much is that going to cost? He goes, about $1,200. I'm like, wait, what? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
What?
You are welcome. Not.
So he tells me, he's like, well, we got to pull the fender off and we got to do this and this and this. It's like, I get it. Mechanic. Obviously, I don't know whatever. So I was like, okay. He goes, oh yeah, and your brakes and rotors on your rear brakes need to be replaced. Okay. So how much is that going to cost? And he says, well, the brakes and rotors would be about $560, $600. I'm like, okay. Shifter cable is going to be about $580. Okay. And yeah, the $1,200 for the sensor. It's like, okay. And you know, I've also got a fog light out and a couple other things I've been trying to do. So yeah, without even knowing those, I'm already, if I get everything fixed, it's like $2,400. So I'm like, I hate vehicles. You need them, but I hate them. But then it was like, so let's circle back down to this part that's on back order. It goes, yeah, about that. Don't know if it'll be a couple of days or a couple of weeks before we get the part in. I'm like, so I've been sitting there saying, hey, yeah. So the good news is the part's on back order compared to all that other that other stuff. So that's good. I'm my stepsister's life partner. He's a mechanic too, or his dad had a shop, and then he and him are started up another shop. But it was, yeah, it's nice to have people like that in the family. And then of course my neighbor's a master mechanic, and he helped me change out the brakes on the front. I ran them down so low that when we pulled the rotor off, it was literally a sheet of paper thin.
Yikes.
I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah. It's never good.
No, I kind of lucked out on that one. But yeah, so that was kind of the pace set for the weekend. Now there was some high notes. Can't imagine what they are right now. Oh yeah, I got to play D&D.
D&D is always fun.
D&D is always a highlight. And on Monday, we decided to play some Warhammer 40k.
Ooh,
so
that's always good too.
What I love my friends when we do this, because this is hilarious, because leading up to this, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to come over to your house at 10 in the morning, and we're going to help you set up so that we can start playing at noon. And we're going to play. And I'm like, okay. Then I start getting texts. Well, we'll split the difference, come over at 11. Okay. Yeah, waiting on this person to get out of the shower, so it'll be like noon before we get there. Okay. You know, casual chit chat, and then we didn't start playing till almost 2 o'clock. And we played all the way through, took a break for dinner, came back, finished out. About 11 o'clock, everybody went home. This is what happens every time we play Warhammer. Because, you know, we're going over the rules, and the new 9th edition stuff started coming out. And it's like they had a couple of the guys have the 9th edition core books, where it's like, I need to get a copy for myself. Because apparently in 9th edition, they introduced terrain features. Like, you can actually have difficult terrain and all these rules with dealing with terrain. And I had a great map I built. Posted the pictures on Instagram. And, of course, when I'm the one who has all the terrain pieces. So they come here because I can set up the map. And they never know what they're going to get when they get here. And this one was all corridors and CQB, close quarters type stuff. And it was... my team, me and my buddy, he we'll get in. I'll save that for State of Game, but that was pretty much it. And then, of course, today in Hampton Roads is the first day of school.
It is. I saw a lot of first days on my book of face.
Well, it's just funny because they didn't get on the bus. All they literally did was come out of their rooms, have breakfast, and then sit down at computers. I mean, that's what it was. But I had fun with it. I mean, both kids had their school issued Chromebooks, and they set up and were doing the school stuff. I mean, I think Skittles had 3 classes today. Top Shelf had all 4 of his, because the way they do high school here is they do 4 classes for half the year and then 4 classes for the other half. So it's kind of like a college semester setup.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. It gets them kind of ready for what lies ahead.
Well, it's just a continuing trend, because it was okay when they introduced block scheduling. Instead of having your 7 1-hour bells or 7 50-minute bells for 7 classes in a day, they shifted to this block schedule stuff where it's like A day, B day.
I remember that.
Yeah, you were. I was around when block scheduling was still being a test pilot in a couple of schools, but I never experienced block scheduling.
I experienced block scheduling. The first year of my high school was still the 7 classes, and then the next 3 were the block scheduling.
Yeah, well, then they moved into, block scheduling at the high school level. And then they're like, well, we need to prepare the students before they get there. So they started moving block scheduling into the middle school system. So middle schools are running block schedules. And then you get it. Now it's like, because, of course, it's been a couple of decades. And now I've got a high schooler. And it was like, oh, yeah, well, we do 4 classes this semester, 4 classes the second semester. So that's it. Just 4 classes for the semester. Okay, well, it's better than A day, B day, but it's literally, it's straight up college stuff. It's like, you screw that up, you're done. There's your credits for half the year gone.
Well, it's a new experience, but it's a good way to get them ready for what is inevitable in a lot of college and technical schools, how they structure their stuff. So. Oh
yeah, and I mean, Chesapeake has the thing where they have a partner. They have a partnership with the local community college, and where the high school kids, if they qualify, can actually start taking classes at the community college, which conveniently there's a campus to the college within walking distance of the high school. So you have the chance to start doing that, because it's the whole, let's start challenging these kids so they can get some more of their stuff knocked out before they get out of high school, which I think is really cool. I think as a society, we should definitely at that point.
Yeah, I like the encouragement of taking college courses early. I did when I was in high school. I took an AP course, a couple AP courses. So yeah, I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like,
I think it's great. So yeah. And the thing is, it still ain't changed a whole lot. The school anyway.
Yeah, I remember the block scheduling, and I remember some of the randomness in some of the classes. I know my last year, one of my blocks was I was in the guidance office because I didn't need all the classes to fill, so I needed something to fill it. So that's what I did.
I got involved with the theater. I became a thespian before I graduated, but I got involved in the theater, and that was pretty much all she wrote. That's
great. Yep.
Because I first production was 10th grade, where we did The Wiz.
Okay.
And I was just doing the audio for that, and I had a blast. I actually still have the newspaper article from way back when. But that was the first theater production I got involved in. Then junior year, got involved a little bit more. Senior year, done. I got to the point where it was like, one of my classes, I did like technical drawing. And the teacher and I had such an agreement, because I can do technical drawings. I can't draw figures and art and all that very well, but I could draw plans and buildings and houses and stuff. I have pretty aptitude for that. I'm really kind of disappointed I never went into architecture, but anyway, c'est la vie. So I would take that bell and I would go to the theater. I actually had a permanent hall pass that I would just go to the theater. And the teacher and I had such an agreement that, I mean, I was getting a solid A. Mm-hmm. So he would let me go there. Every so often he'd catch me in the morning and be like, Steve, dude, can you come to class today? You got to get you got to get Lindsay off my back. I'm like, sure, I'll come to class. So first 9 weeks I was there like 100% of the time. Second 9 weeks, 75% of the time. Third 9 weeks, 50, maybe maybe a little less than 50. Fourth 9 weeks, I walked in, handed in my exam I did at home, and then I was like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah, you're all like, you know what, I'm done. Let's go off into the sunset and ride.
Well, solid A's. I mean, seriously, I had this stuff cold. Oh, yeah, Pirates of Penzaz. I did not catch that production, but I do remember it. Lots of fun getting to know those peeps. And then, of course, getting in afterwards in the transition from one theater teacher to the other, who I met doing a production at a local community theater, Little Theater, Virginia Beach, where it was Little Abner was the first production I did, where I met my soon-to-be theater teacher and been acquaintances and friends ever since. And it was just several community theater gigs, audio and whatnot. I always kind of avoided the stage. I didn't feel I was comfortable for stage. And in my senior year, we did a production of Anything Goes. And I got to be I got to be a stage manager for that. So there was one time where I was a backup, but there was a production. I ran the stage for backstage. It was great. Lots of fun during that.
Some fun times, you know.
It's great. I mean, theater is such a thing. I mean, we were talking. I was talking with somebody. I think it was Mayflower was talking, where we were making references to Princess Bride, and it's like me and my best friend at the time. We would reenact the whole sword fight for giggles. I mean, and it was just hilarious. Now, Little Ebner's a great show. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed all the theater work I got to do. I really kind of regret I didn't get to do more of it. I tried to do a production of Grease shortly after I got to 29 Palms.
Okay.
But that didn't quite go so well. Actually, that was probably the first time I ruined a car because I was being stupid and trying to show off for somebody.
I did a lot of stupid things in high school with a car.
No, this is
not going to talk about them. Just not going to talk about them.
We won't do that. We won't do that.
It's vivid in my mind what I did. It's just not going to come out of this mind.
We good. We understand.
Yeah. And just just a side note. Just a random thought. I'm in a really good mood right now.
Oh, let's be in a good mood.
Just got a score alert. I'm a sports fan, which you know, and right now the NBA playoffs are going on. My team just beat the Milwaukee Bucks, so they're heading into the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, what's your team?
Miami Heat. So, just got the score alert. Just a randomness, but just another pep in my step tonight. So.
Agnes of God. Oh, that's not a bad. I'm not familiar with that one. I did a couple of 1X myself. I just can't remember. A lot of good times, bad times, but of course I don't really talk to anybody from high school.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends in high school, and there's a lot of them I'm still friends with, and there's still a few that I still talk with today.
Well, I think the friends I still talk to that I knew in high school are people who didn't even go to my high school.
I know that feeling.
Harley girl, you know, she and I knew each other for ninth grade, or my 9th and 10th grade years. She was no, it's definitely 10th. But yeah, we knew each other then, and we talk. So she's the exception to that. But my other two best friends that I still chat with on occasion, they both went to a high school that opened while I was in high school. So it was like we were friends then, but we went to different high schools, and then some other people I lost touch with. But the majority of my class, nobody. I mean,
yeah.
I had a couple of reunions with the theater, and it was nice to see peeps, but never got back into it.
Oh yeah, it's the true friendships endear through a lot of things. So
yeah, I think that you're not. I was getting confused because you're 9th and 10th, my 10th and 11th, because you did Pirates. That got me interested, and then I think you did Pirates in the spring, and then I came in on the second for that. Yeah, I was digging back 25 years. It's like, shit. Sorry, excuse me. Language.
Where's Captain America when you need him?
I need that little bit to sit there and push a button.
Beep.
Language. Wait a minute. Did Cap just say language?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did, people.
Yeah, it kind of slipped out.
Truth and honor.
Oh, wow. Memory lane. Man. All right. Okay. Now, before Alzheimer's sets in, let's move on to reviews.
Moving on, people. Moving on.
Just gonna move on to those reviews and just get those reviews going.
Alrighty, righty.
Alrighty. Our movie reviews for this week. As
two big ones.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, let's get our first one going. Our first one is the new Christopher Nolan film, Tenet. Now, this was supposed to come back out in July, but it never quite made it.
Yep.
And it just got released this past week. In fact, Ry went to see an early screening of it.
Yes, sir.
So I did not go. I have not seen it yet, but I've also, being how Christopher Nolan has some of his films go, I'm sure this has got a real great mental trip.
Yes, it definitely does have a mental trip, and it definitely was a fun experience. I got to go to an early screening of it before it was released, which it was released this past weekend. And Tenet is another in a line of Christopher Nolan's pseudo-intellectual films, and dives deep into the ideas of time, space. But what he does this time, instead of mixing it with some mind-trippy sequences like Inception or going on into space like Interstellar, he combines all that time and space paradox within the idea of espionage and suspense thriller.
Okay.
So, what this film centers on is a main character only known as the protagonist, and it's played by John David Washington, who is the son of Denzel Washington. He is the protagonist, and you watch as he goes through travels around the world on this international espionage to protect the world from devastation. A typical trope that you find in a lot of like James Bond films, but with the kicker is that he is fighting the paradox of time. So what it is that the protagonist is fighting a threat from the future who's sending a device in the past to destroy the world. And that's where the film centers on. And it centers on the idea of what Nolan calls inversion. So it's a mimicry of time travel, but in a way where when you are inverting yourself in this film, the protagonist, as time is moving forward, you're moving backwards. So it is really a fun, endearing technical feat that Christopher Nolan does in this film. And when there's been word out there from people where it says you have to pay attention to the detail, and you truly have to pay attention to the detail, because when you're watching in the first half of the movie, it's a typical espionage thriller. You're going from place to place in different locales around the world, and the protagonist is trying to find the mystery of what is this device, how is the future society working with the people in the past, and so forth. So as the protagonist is putting these pieces together, you're going through typical action set pieces, some intense car chases, and action pieces where weird and trippy things are happening, but they're undefined because you don't really know what's happening. Then comes the point where the protagonist gets into the machine and reverses time. So all the stuff that was happening in the same sequence as him going backward. So the second half parlays all of those missing pieces that you saw in the first half, and everything starts to come together, and you start to see the intricacies of how the protagonist interacts with the past, going backwards, but still, in a sense, going forward. It's very weird and trippy, but the greatness of it is that everything is done through practical effects. And if you've seen anything from Nolan, he is one that prides himself in true cinematic experience. So when you're seeing the explosion, the car chases, the action set pieces, you are entrenched in the action, and it's so intense. Just the gravitas of the sound, the explosions, and just watching the characters interact with not only the current present, but interacting with future elements going backwards. It's just crazy. And then when you get into the final sequence, that's when everything comes to head, and you see how the protagonist has to save the world, but at the same time does it in a way where it plays with time and the paradox of what is really the present and what is really the past. So once everything comes and concludes, there is a genuine wrap up. There is a genuine explanation to everything that is happening, and you get a sense of completion of a completed story, but still the idea of what ifs, of what they were playing with time, paradox, entropy, and inversion.
Try to direct yourself to the microphone.
Direct myself to the microphone. Okay.
Yeah, get that.
All right.
Alrighty. So yeah, that actually sounds really trippy and cool. I don't have much to say on it.
Yeah.
There is one thing.
Any questions?
Yeah. How old have we gotten to where we have Denzel Washington's son leading a film?
I guess we're really old because, yeah, I think Denzel Washington is in his mid-60s. I'm guessing. Y'all can correct me on that. I can look it up later. But yeah, it's fun to see him in the role. But the one that steals the show is Robert Pattinson, and he plays his like pseudo sidekick, and he is an actor's actor. Like, he is entrenched in the role. He gets you buzzed about everything going on, and the things he does in this movie without spoiling it helps add a layer of detail to the heavy exposition that has to be given, but it's done in a way where there's charm and suave to the explanations that might go above yourself, above thought.
Cool.
So, the great thing about this film is that it does play with a lot of stuff with the paradox of time and how the future can interact with the past, but it's done in a way through and the irony of simplistic detail and action. It's weird, but I got it. Like, you get it. And once you just are there for the ride, then everything just falls into place once you get in the second. Because that's when everything opens and you're just like, what the blank?
All right, so what are we giving this for a rating?
Overall, it's a fun action set piece. It does a great job in combining the espionage thriller with sci-fi elements. It does lack in character development because there's a lot of stuff they got to do, but overall, it's a fun time at the theaters. It would be worth the full price of admission. 4 out of 5. Definitely go check it out if you are a Nolan fan like me. Comment. I think there's 2 different musics happening.
That's the sound set.
Oh, okay.
There are actually two bits going on. There's a
yes. Professor Robert Pattinson is the vampire from Twilight. So that's how everybody remembers him at, and he's the next Batman. So
yes.
But I think he's going to be good in the role of Bruce Wayne, especially after watching this movie and some of his previous roles. Yeah,
I can't. I'm curious on this one, but the other question is this better or worse than the Will Smith future self movie Gemini?
Is it better or worse?
I would have to say it's probably better.
If y'all go to a previous podcast that I talked about the movie, I did not like Gemini Man, just to keep it simple.
See?
I love Tenet, and there you go.
Anyways, So that was the first one, and now for our next one, Mulan, which released on Disney Premiere
Yes, sir.
over the weekend. Basically, if you paid an extra $30 to Disney Plus, you could check this movie out. But this one is interesting so far. I mean, I've seen a few other commentaries on it, so I will save my commentary for the end. But if you are a fan of Disney, if you like Disney's remakes of live action and feel that they should copy and paste exactly beat for beat how they did their animated ones, yeah, check that expectation at the door, because this one will take you for a ride. Ry?
And you have laid the foundation of how I will do this review, because this is another one of Disney's live action remakes. My apologies, and it is available on Disney Plus with the extra adage of $30. But I think it has a good value with a lot of people that watched it in my house. So, but like Scuba said, this is a live action retelling, and the word I'm going to start with is adaptation. When you adapt material, regardless if it's in the same medium or different medium, you want to make sure that you stay true to the source, but make it feel fresh. And I'm gonna backtrack just a couple bits. In the last past years, we've seen live action remakes of Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, to name a few. Uh, Two of the three I enjoyed, but they were beat by beat the same movie as the animated tale, especially The Lion King. I enjoyed the live action, but it was a beat by beat story retelling of the animated classic. That leads into what I describe in this movie as a true adaptation, and what if you give a director and the filmmakers a chance to retell a story, this is what you have right here. And Mulan is an action adventure focused movie focused on the titular character of Mulan, and it centers on the story of her finding her true self and becoming a hero for us all, not only for her country but for everyone, everyone that's watching, everyone in the story. Um, this movie is a lot more action oriented. It's a lot more adventure and epic in scale. And the great thing that I liked about this movie is that it combined great elements of the fairy tale tropes within a coming of age tale. By doing that, it made the character more humanizing, where you have relevancy in what she is trying to accomplish in this world. She's battling, trying to be honorable to her family by following traditions, but at the same time capturing what she really wants to do and being the warrior that she was born to be. So that conflict comes to head when the the country is at war, and the village has to send one male person from the family, and in Mulan's family there's no male. So she steals her father's armor and sword and goes off to war. And
which we know from the animated
yeah,
one. But let's kind of focus on how this kind of differs.
the difference is on the action and the character piece, because what you get to see is an overarching growth in the character of Mulan, and it focuses on her growth as not only the heroine aspect of the typical hero's tale, it focuses on her growth as a person within a society that wants to that society that doesn't want to accept change. And the change being that a woman can lead an army, a woman can be a hero, and a woman can be an equivalent against can be an equivalent to what is out there. She showcases her strength with true honor and dignity, but you see the flaws in her struggle in trying to find her place in this world. And in
Okay.
that struggle, it helps the endearment of the tale, and it helps to bring in all these ancillary characters. It fleshes out a motif of building yourself and finding who you are in the most troubling time. And even when the film does use the typical good versus bad motif and the typical evil villainy that you find in a lot of like fairy tale tropes, it doesn't rely on that and just relies on her growth as a person, especially once you get into the final act. The final act is such a masterful job of combining action grand set pieces, but making it very character centric. And they use a lot of imagery, use a lot of just a subtle detail in just the cues of the action set pieces and how they mimic um, the culture and individualism and finding that honor in both.
Okay.
So overall, it's a great adventure epic. It does have a lot of familiarity, but they use that familiarity as a foundation to build upon something more.
Okay.
Being a real adaptation. Like, this is what a lot of people have been clamoring for these live action films, is actually doing something different, but staying true to the source.
So, what are we going to call this one?
Overall, it is, I think it is worth the $30. And if you have Disney Plus, I would definitely pick it up if you like live action films and Mulan. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 full price. This would be definitely worth seeing in theaters. And I did mention this to my girlfriend. I have a feeling that Disney might re-release this at theaters at some point, and I will be there to see it on the big screen, because this is a film I think should have went to the theaters, because it is worth it. Just the scale of what they did in this movie is worth seeing on an IMAX screen.
Cool.
Oh yeah, they did play the original songs in the background, and they did it very seamlessly.
Yeah, they did. They didn't have some of those extra elements like Mushu and whatnot.
That's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler.
So.
But yeah, two great movies. So it's a prize in itself when you get to watch two movies and have a fun experience.
Alrighty. Well, seems like some things are kind of lagging away on there. Oh well. So far, so good. We'll do what we do.
We can survive the times.
Mm-hmm.
So, just curious, anybody out there in the chat check out any of these two movies that came out, or looking forward to any of these two movies? I did see somebody mention they're excited to see Tenet. I don't remember who said that.
Well, if you have questions for as we go through things, make sure to type question in all caps, and then in the chat, and that will bubble up. That should bubble up to a feed where we can answer those questions. Same thing if you put comment in all caps and then your comment in the chat, that will also kind of bubble up. So that way we can try and catch these and be a little interactive in that sense. So next thing up, we have our state of game, where we talk about the various games we are playing and what we've been playing and all that fun jazz. I think I'll start off with going over that Warhammer game real quick.
I'm intrigued, because I always like it when you play the Warhammers.
Yeah, so the Warhammer game, it's been a few months since we played. I think it was pre-COVID since we played, because I think we did a New Year's Eve kind of play the game.
Yeah, I think that's the last time you played, because I remember you talking about that one.
Stream is super smooth tonight. Gorgeous. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I did. I dropped in some new upgrades to the stream box that we use, and we should be streaming at 1080p, recording at 1080p. And it looks like we are doing good compared to the last few weeks. So thank you for hanging out with us. So hopefully we will keep this momentum as we go.
Keep it going with the flow.
And gotta throw those Charizards.
Yes. Burn. Feel the burn.
All right, Harley girl. Thank you for coming to hang out with us. Hopefully we'll catch you over the weekend on the D&D streams. But yeah, the way we set this up is a friend of mine's brother had his birthday on Saturday. So he got some new Chaos Marine models. I think he got a named character or something. And so it was like he wanted to field those and see how those goes. I was like, okay. Now, for me, I have a very small army. Like, super small. Like, this little bin has my minis in it for Warhammer. So I am very limited on what I can field and what I can play. It's pretty much the same thing all the time. So it's like I set up the terrain, and I've got a I've got some older cast terrain pieces that we set up on the table. Like I said, it's up on Instagram. But it was kind of like corridors or whatever, because I didn't like the whole... The Warhammer is supposed to be in the future. It's supposed to be a lot of urban type combat, as opposed to revolutionary style, you know, armies on two ends of an open field and go at each other. So I like to add different elements to kind of make it a challenge, because these guys, straight flat surface, they'll steamroll. So it was like, okay, let's do this. And we played for we had 3 objectives we try and hold. And me and my buddy and Goggleator, or Raz, we set up, he was running Space Wolves, I was running Dark Angels, against the other side, which was running Thousand Suns and Death Guard. And it was, okay, they had numbers, all right, but we managed to secure the objectives and end up beating them like double the point value. But I lost 2 entire units in the process. But as I was saying earlier, it's like the idea was to start at noon. We didn't start till 2. We didn't finish and pack everything up till 11. Love playing Warhammer, but sometimes, you know. But the big thing was that this new 9th edition stuff is coming out. Now, the 9th edition core book is out, and you can go to Games Workshop and sign up for their app and get a copy of the core rules for free, so you can look it up. It's not a bad deal. But unfortunately, all the codexes for the various units don't start releasing till October. So we were kind of playing with, we're using the 9th edition for the general table setup, and then I have to wait on the codexes to see what the new 9th edition rules are for the codexes. But so it's like, it's kind of my gripe with learning Warhammer 40k is the fact that you get this core book, and the core book doesn't really tell you how to play except for how to set up the table. But if you want any unit information, you got to wait for a codex. Well, these core books came out like a month ago, so you got like 2 months before the codexes come out. So it's like one of the questions I asked: so what if I'm a new player who's never played Warhammer 40k? What do I need? So if I'm doing D&D, if I'm a new person playing D&D, I just need the player's handbook. Easy peasy. Or if I'm a new dungeon master, I need there's 3 books I need: the player's handbook, the dungeon master's guide, and the monster manual. I'm good. Warhammer, it's like you need the core book and the codexes in order to play just one side, because each codex for each unit or each faction has different things. So it's like, it's a lot of information, but it's really kind of like, man. But one of the nice things with this 9th edition has additional core, additional rules for terrain. Because it used to be, it's like, oh, how do we handle difficult terrain? Well, if you can fly, you just go over it. Okay. What else? Not much. Okay. That's a little... But now it's like, with this, it's like, okay, now difficult terrain reduces your movement by 2. All right. And I had a couple little rolling hills. Yep, that'll be difficult terrain. Scalable, breachable, all these factors that go into these wall setups. And it's like, I need this book so I can, next time I set up a table, I can really mess with them. Because then I can know what's I need. So, how much each piece is worth? Oh, I have a couple of the half boxes, so about $80 a set. They get a lot expensive. Like, I want to field something called Titans. Those are about $200 a model. On the cheap, $200 a model. There's some that are really big. Yeah, those are like stupid. Especially if you're buying them and having them shipped from the UK. Yeah, it's expensive. Super expensive. Yeah, Warhammer is one of those black holes. When you fall into it, you will fall into it, and you will never see the light of day. And I not only got into 40k, but I got into Age of Sigmar, which is the fantasy side of Warhammer. And I have a starter. One of my buddies got me a starter box for these dwarves, which are kind of like a steampunk clockwork dwarf. and I have those put together, but I haven't painted them yet. But yeah, it gets pretty expensive. I mean, these guys have been sinking hundreds of dollars. I think one of my friends, when he finally, because he had extra money lying around, he was like, I'm gonna go to eBay, and he picked up like $1,000 worth of models for like $500. So, and they're reproducing models, and the older models are hard to find. So I mean, it's ridiculous. Like if I want to buy more units, I'm looking at easy $50 to $100 a unit to get, and that's not counting paints and everything else, because Game Workshop has their own paint line, which they're not bad, but at roughly $5.50 a bottle. Actually, I have one of those bottles. Hang on. Alrighty. So, it's my little thing of paint. All right.
Let's see the colors.
So this is one of the little paint tins you can get for Games Workshop, right? This color is Caraborg Crimson, right? This is roughly $5.50 a bottle, depending on your local store. Then, of course, there's these droppers from Vallejo, which I've got quite a few I've been collecting for no reason in particular. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And these are roughly $3.50 a bottle, depending on your local supply. So, yeah. It can get really expensive really quick. But I actually kind of like it. So, you know, it gives me something to do, and I like models and miniatures and all that stuff, so. But, yeah. That was Warhammer. Warhammer's fun. I wish I could play more.
It does. It does sound like fun times.
It's good. The lore is really impressive.
Question.
Have I used army paints? I have not. I do not have any in my collection as of yet. I do have a friend that did pick up the big $200 army painter set. The colors are comparable from what I can tell. I couldn't give you anything more unless I picked up a set and tested it. And to be honest, I haven't actually used the Vallejo yet. I'm working on doing that, but I seem to get sucked into rabbit holes and never actually get to painting. It is something we've talked about. A couple of them are a little shy about being on camera, which is fine. I mean, it's supposed to be a friendly game, and I have a IP camera that Saladin gave me, and once I figure out how to get it into OBS, I might actually use that to film our game sessions. Now, I will preface that if we do this, you guys are just going to be spectators, because we're going to be focusing on that, and it will be unfiltered. It will probably be for adult audiences, and it will be just all kinds of shenanigans. Just putting it out there. I try to be family friendly on all my content, and actually, funny thing is all of my friends are really supportive of me doing this streaming thing and doing these contents, that we actually got into like a 40-minute conversation about language in streams, which is really funny. So we might do that.
We keep it clean.
Yeah, it would be a top down, kind of to the side. I did test it last night. The view isn't bad. But and this is why I want to keep doing family friendly, because you know I don't want to let Mayflower feel left out.
Oh yeah,
you know she's awesome.
I keep family friendly.
So yeah, that was Warhammer. I think we're gonna try and do a Sigmar game. I just have to find a time and day to do it. So yeah.
Sounds good to me.
But yeah, we can get it. I mean, do we want to do the D&D now and then end on video games, or do we want to do video games and end on D&D?
It's whatever y'all want us to talk about.
Going once, going twice. All right, we'll talk. We'll take a break and we'll talk video games. Ry, what you been playing, my man?
All right, so everybody knows I've been working my way through the story of Ghost of Tsushima. We delved. I went and hit the climactic end of Act 2 with some serious consequences, and now venturing into Act 3. Act 3 is a lot shorter act, so I should be able to get the full story done within a week's time, even with grad school.
Yeah, that's the full story regardless of side missions.
Squirrel moments do happen, so I'm trying to avoid squirrel moments, but there is this quest line to get this really sweet armor, so squirrels are reaching out with their almonds and pecans. So yeah, I might get that. I did get the flaming sword in Act 3. That was the one thing I was aiming to do, is do the quest line for the flaming sword, and that flame sword is epic. Like, it is fun to use that sword in battle. When you basically what he does, he ignites the sword with a stone, and you have a limited time. But once you're in a crowd, it really takes out the crowd. But I'm going to try to focus on the main story. Get to the end. I do know that there is a choice that you have to make at the end, and I am contemplating on that choice now.
You should.
Yeah, because like, especially with the climax of what Act 2 is, it's definitely the story is I'm entrenched into the story, and I'm feeling the struggle that Jin Sakai is having between being honorable to his family and falling deeper into this ghost persona. And the coolest thing that I did pick up on is what I read online, and I do see it happening, is that the more and more stuff you do as the ghost, it does affect the weather in the game. Like, it does really do, and it's pretty cool.
Okay,
and I have
cool.
a lot of awesome screens in this latest fight in the snow up on my Instagram. So if you want to check them out, a lot of brutal screens. I'm chopping heads off left and right in that game.
Yeah, we may find a way to feed your Instagram into the Discord.
But that's not the only game I was playing. I did tap into some old school nostalgia, skateboarding. I picked up the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 on Friday, and I have created the Ry guy in the game, and he's been skating free and having fun in that game. And it is a fun experience. There's just so much fun in just falling back in. And the studio, Activision, and the other studio that worked on this game, they did a amazing job in the detail of recreating all the classic parts, on making the missions feel new again. And it's just fun just skating around to that soundtrack. It's just, you just fall back in that place. It's a good blend of nostalgia and newness. So you get the first two games. There's an extra game in there. There's multiplayer. There's create a park, and you create a player. So far I've been dabbling and trying to unlock all the parks that I can. Cool. Nostalgia, yes, it is nostalgia.
I actually have some video games to talk about.
The vid games from the Scuba.
Yes, I started playing Spiritfarer.
What is this Spiritfarer? It did intrigue me. I did ask you about it before.
Yes, and I wasn't going to talk about it before stream.
Yeah. Leave me hanging here. Yes.
One of the streamers I've been following for years and never really got a chance to check her stuff out live was Debnoxious. Anyways, Dodger, basically. And she was playing Spiritfarer for like 2 weeks. And I was really fascinated, and I found it on Xbox Game Pass and started playing it. Now, Spiritfarer is a nice little indie title game, but you take on the role of Charon, who is the ferryman who transports spirits as they transition from death to the afterlife. And you are this girl named Stella, who takes over for Charon, and you have to start collecting and ferrying spirits to the afterlife. And the game is set up to be kind of a resource community management style game. You're given your ferry boat, and you have to collect resources and make things. And it is such a beautiful game. The color palette, the animation, it's very pretty. And I've only a little bit in, but I know how the story goes. And it's one of those games that you really should, if you can check it out and play, it's very nice, because the whole thing is about coping with death, coping with what's happens and what you leave behind and all that. And you come to find out that each of these spirits that you particularly rescue all have some connection to you. They all have some connection to Stella. But they're all in these anamorphic type bodies. Like I have the uncle who's like this big giant bullfrog. I have the best friend who is a deer or some other type of creature like that. And it is such, I really enjoyed it because I was just kind of rolling through it, and it's very kind of easy, kind of casual. It's kind of a platformer thing, and you have your friend Kit, you have your friend whose name is Daffodil, and she's a cat. Now, one of the things I know is you can actually do a co-op with this game, and where one person can play as Stella, the other person can play as Daffodil. And you have this spirit light, which is like this utilitarian tool for doing things like if you're cooking, it makes oven mitts for you so you can pull out the hot food. But with this resource management is this community you build on the ship, you have to feed them, give them lodging, kind of help them finish off their last few things. But it's got a lot of really good reviews. It's really if you really want to know the intricacies of each character, you really have to read the digital art book. And afterward, which I recommend you reading after you play the game, because then it clarifies each character and who they were inspired by and how they fit into the story. But I started playing that. I got a couple hours in, just kind of.
Yeah, this looks fun. I'm looking at the trailer as you talk, and the animation is.
It's
awesome.
Beautiful.
It reminds me of Child of Light.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful. I think it might be the same studio.
Yeah, it reminds me of Child of Light. I might have to pick it up. You said it's on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass right now. It is called Spiritfarer.
Let's see. Let's bring up the app while it's up.
You want to
Spiritfarer.
Yeah, it's on Xbox Game Pass, Steam, all of the channels. But it's a really pretty game. It's a very the soundtrack is amazing. It's very kind of easy, chill, relaxing kind of deal. So if you I may stream some of it in the near future. I was tinkering with it, so if we stream it, I may restart it and just stream it if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. And that was the main game I got some time in because I was really kind of wanting to just detox over the weekend.
I completely understand.
So I think Monday morning, actually, I started playing Spiritfarer while I was waiting on the guys to show up so we could play Warhammer. Go figure. Get in the Zen zone. So, well, that's the video game side. I guess we can talk about the D&D stuff now.
Throw them dice. What we got?
Let's roll for it.
More fun to come with them dice.
The platforming aspect is not that bad. It's the fact that you have all these goofy characters to talk to and these spirits, and there's a lot of gaming references. There are several spirits that are talking like, well, 5D20 is not bad, right?
If you wanted to dabble in some like old school gaming, there's another game that I'm playing, Crosscode. You might like that. Anomalous.
And to be fair, I was looking for Avengers on Game Pass to see if I could play that because I did watch the playthrough for Avengers on Gamer's Little Playground, and that's a really cool story. I really love that RPG element. Yes, Crosscode.
Yeah, Crosscode is actually on Game Pass for free.
Oh, really?
So if you do have an Xbox, I'd definitely pick it up. It is a fun game. It's a fun action RPG in the 2D format, so it is fast paced too. So.
Yeah, you are most welcome. So D&D this weekend. Friday started with a session, and that was fun. At one point, I took over, and we had like a 30-person Zoom call to finish out the session. It was nuts. Nuts, crazy nuts. Somebody said it's like I have got to be completely bat crazy to to subject myself to it. It's like, well, 33.
You like it, you love it, just go for it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I have my regrets on how I could try to run it differently, but that's just me always wanting to perfect my craft, as it were.
I get the feeling. I know.
But after that, it was then Saturday. We started our first thing for Twlights Gleaming. Can't call it last Gleaming because this wasn't the last of them. They continued on. And this was an episode that was essentially reintroducing everybody and doing some downtime, because when you do adventuring, when you have persistent campaigns, you need to have downtime to take care of those odds and ends. You can't adventure all the time. So it was a pretty good. We went 3 hours roughly. Did some shopping, turned in the quest marker things, met a new character. His name's Snagraz. He is a very interesting individual. He is a goblin who started life as a rogue, but now is a wizard. And there's a story there we will explore, but it was great. That's right, it was great. I mean, and so, but we have a new character who's going to be joining us this Saturday. And I'm looking forward to seeing her character interact with these guys. I'm not gonna spoil it too much, but it is a great concept for a character. I'm really super excited for it, and I'm excited to see her join the party and see what she brings to the shenanigans. But I think talking with the players recently, I think this is going to end up being a homebrew world. So we're literally going to build this world as we play, as opposed to just kind of plopping it in. So we should. I have to figure out a map and artwork, and I'm hoping there's some community love for artwork, because I can't draw for nothing, and I would love some great artwork. And I know that we have subscription tiers, and some of the perks of those subscription tiers is to submit artwork that we will use on the streams. So, gotta move in with that. But it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was way too early in the morning. I'm sorry. 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday.
10 is early?
Of course, Mayflower. You are more than welcome to help. As long as our characters have good descriptions, I can feed those to you if you want to try and draw. I remember you and a couple other people were really good for it. Yes, coffee. Lots and lots of coffee. So, yeah. But yeah, 10 a.m. on Saturday is not bad, especially if you're getting that morning brew or whatever and kind of just hanging out. It's pretty cool. I might do Sunday mornings streams too, but that's a whole nother conversation. And then Saturday night was, of course, challenge accepted. These cats. Let me tell you something about these guys. Let me tell you something. So they get into Prayer Dawn, right? And I start off with them finding the first murder victim. And their reaction, and they react with, yeah, we're the new people. There's a body here. We're probably going to get blamed for this, so let's like vanish. And it was like, all right, that's how you want to do it. Okay, let's see what the dice say. Only one of the four of them, or three of them, because no, yeah, we had four because one of our cast couldn't make it. One of them was the only one who passed their deception roll. The rest of them were like, yeah, we're kind of, yeah, we just got here. So, but I think the highlight of the night was the lodging house they stayed at, because we didn't get very far in content, because we went to they went to this lodging house, and of course in the morning they wanted to talk to the staff. It's like, okay, so there's a nice elderly woman who's kind of a middle-aged woman who's making pies, and so she ended up so Auntie came to realization. And of course one of our characters is this big giant minotaur.
Oh yeah.
And she looked up at him and says, "You need more meat on your bones. Please, dearie, sit down. Sit down. Would you like? I'll give you 2 pies. You look like you could use 2 pies."
What's wrong with 2 pies?
It's just like, I don't know. The pies are such a great story medium. But yeah, the whole party had pies and breakfast, and have decided they're going to investigate, because I'm going more some of this old stuff, and I'm thinking about Gotham by Gaslight. And there was if you haven't seen Gotham by Gaslight is a really great what if story, which put Batman in Victorian London. And there was a point where Bruce Wayne owned like a gentleman's club. Yes, it is a movie, Professor Chili. It was based on a graphic novel, but it is a movie. It's called Gotham by Gaslight. It's beautiful movie. Beautiful. You see all the various characters of Batman in Victorian style London. Selina Kyle, Poison Ivy, Jim Gordon, all of them. And there's a twist in that story that, even watching it 3 or 4 times like I have, I still get caught by that twist because the story is so good. There you go. Yep. Batman Gotham by Gaslight. And a great film. But just thinking about that, thinking about Bruce Wayne, and of course, we had Pennyworth, and and it was like, okay, so 2 of the cast are going to investigate the local gentleman's club, which is basically just guys drinking and smoking cigars. Nothing too bad, because this is Victorian London after all. They don't get crazy, ish. And the women are going to, run some errands for Auntie, because she's so nice and sweet. So they're going to try and dig up some dirt on what's going on. But we'll be curious to see what happens. But I think we're going to shoot for 3-hour sessions, and I have a feeling we're going to run longer than 10 episodes, because I think the way we're kind of gelling as a story, I think it'll run a little longer than 10 episodes. And that's just because I want to finish this module before moving into another module with going back to Saltmarsh. But this might be interesting. We'll see how this kind of develops. Question. No, it is not on Flint Street. The question is Auntie shot by chance on Flint Street? No. And there's no barber in the residence above it. Nice try. More meat pies. Anyways, so D&D this weekend was great. Insight check? Okay. You want to do it? Let's do it. That is 19. What is yours? See, mine's a 19 straight on the die. Okay. I give it. What's your question? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? I'll tell you right now, I'm telling the truth. No, it is not on Flint Street. That was fun. What's in the pies? Oh, it's better than what's in the box. Let's see. There were meat pies.
What's in the box?
We don't want to know what's in the box. You don't want to know what's in the box. Don't ask what's in the box. There was meat pies. I think I said an apple pie and a blueberry pie. And the reason why she started giving out the apple and the blueberry is because Tarvos was gobbling down those meat pies. Oh yeah, there's that too. I mean, this is, the kind of time period. It's like, yeah, it's edible. It's all in the preparation. The right spices. Dude, really? Dude. But yeah, if you guys watch the streams and ask questions, I can try and do some of that. But, I don't want to spoil it too much for those who haven't watched it. So Go check out the episodes. I try to get them posted every week before the new episode over at Scuba Studio on YouTube. Also, I am starting to run reruns of the Twitch broadcasts on Twitch or during the day for those who can't stay up late at night, or any of our fans who are across the pond where 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern is like stupid early for them. So I want to give them a chance to enjoy the shenanigans.
Check out the reruns, people.
Or watch at your leisure. But yeah. And for the kids, I mean, look at this. Look at this. 1723. That means at some point this weekend, hopefully someone is going to hit that 1750 and unlock the D12 inspiration die to the parties. So, on that note, I think I'm good on the D&D stuff, unless there's some good and whatnot. So, I think we're ready for odds and ends.
Yes.
Oddies and endies.
Let's see where we go.
Alrighty. Yeah, that's still taking a bit. Anyways, we're going to figure that out. But let's see. Odds and ends is that point where we talk about these random internet stories we find and what our opinions are. These are only our opinions. Do not take them as gospel. Feel free to do your own research.
You can take mine as gospel. I am the word. I am Ry.
Okay. Here's our first one. You know, Mario 64 is shaping out to be one of the most versatile games to mod and modify and change. Well, our latest incarnation is someone sat there and redid Mario 64 as Doom.
Yes, sir.
So they reskinned Mario to where he's in a jumpsuit and the Doom Slayer helmet. And he's wandering around playing Doom. But of course, you know, there's no guns or anything like that. But it's still cute and comical.
It is a delightful treat to just see how people can, I say I'm a broken record, but how people can get creative, not only by putting things into games, but now fusion of games, where somebody took the Mario 64 and did an overhaul with aesthetics of the old school Doom games. So, as reported on Game Rants, quote, not only have all the textures around Peach's castle been replaced, but the music has also been turned into versions of classic Doom songs made using Mario 64 noises. End
yes,
quote.
I need to specify that. We are talking the original Doom UI.
The original. Yes.
The original dungeon crawl Doom UI is how you see when you check this out. Link will be in the show description, doobly-doo later. But yes, that is wild.
Oh yeah, and there's another fun fact with this mod.
What's that?
Is that there is, quotes, secret Doom levels hidden within the retextured Mario 64 world. End quote.
Really?
Yes. So, not only will you be able to play Mario 64 as Doom, but you'll find some hidden places.
Yeah, this is just goofy. I love it. I love it.
And it's just great to see how Mario 64 is coming back into the fray, not only with this mod, but just on the side note, Super Mario 3D All-Stars being released on Switch for the 35th anniversary, which has Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy all in one package.
Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang.
You know I'm buying that.
Of course you are. And here's one, because, you know, we're getting into November and that holiday season, and I'm sure all of us have kids, or are big kids ourselves. We just don't want to admit it. Because that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I admit it.
Is we got these new consoles are coming out. Well, apparently this one has just leaked, and this is the Xbox Series S. We've been hearing all the buzz on the Series X being so big and massive and crazy, and probably setting a new bar for stupid expensive for consoles. But the Series X is supposed to be their smallest console ever.
Yes, sir.
It looks like it's going to have a 512 gigabyte SSD hard drive on it.
Yes, sir.
And it is going to retail for the low price of $299. There was a video ad that was released. IGN carried the story and showcasing this and talking about all the cool features. I mean, it's better than what we're looking at for the X, which is still rumored to be about $500.
Pretty pricey, for it, and it's supposed to be the higher tier, so of course it'd be a little bit more, but it the cool thing is that Microsoft is giving two options in the upgrade to the next gen. So not only if you wanted to go high and mighty with the X, you can still get all the greatness in the Series S here.
Well, don't forget that Microsoft is going to do a pay installment plan.
Yes,
if you
sir.
want to upgrade up for this, so you can sit there and have this on installments to make it a little more affordable-ish. It's like all this tech is really great and really expensive, so we're all just going to make payments on it.
Oh yeah, it does look like a refrigerator may that Series X does, but hey, with Game Pass, backwards compatibility, and just
xCloud
launching, it's given a prime example of maybe I'm gonna stick with Xbox. I'm probably gonna get it anyway, but yep, and just the price value of it is pretty mind-boggling for new systems, because a lot of times new systems are riding up in that 500-600 range most of the time, but at least there's a cheaper option.
Oh, speaking of that, there was recently, and this is not on the notes, so this is completely off the cuff, is they announced that The Witcher 3...
Oh my goodness, man! I read that news. You keep going. I'm gonna just be happy over here.
If you purchased a copy of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and you've got the Game of the Year or whatever, they are going to re-release that game for the next-gen consoles.
Yes, sir.
As a bonus.
This is the great kicker, people. Listen to this.
If you already own the game, you will get the upgraded version for free.
FREE. Free.
Which I happen to have the full version. I even have a disc version before I got the full version on a holiday sale. But if you were a fan of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, this would be kind of cool, because they re-rendered and upscaled everything to work on the new tech for the console. So I already thought the game was beautiful the first go around, but I think this is also a testament to CD Projekt Red and how much this franchise is so beloved. Is they're not trying to money grab. They are just going to, here you go.
Yeah, it's a testament to be like, everybody knows Witcher 3 is my favorite game. I love that game. So I don't usually go back and play big long games, but just the fact that I could get it free on the next gen, I might have to pick it up.
I might actually start working on it, because I think I barely got out of the tutorial area. So I feel you on the started never finished.
Oh yeah. I have a few games like that, but The Witcher 3 was one I did finish. So
that would be a total time suck. That would be fun.
Speaking
Anyways.
of time suck, Cyberpunk 2077 is about to come out.
But our next story I don't have a picture for, because I couldn't find a good one. But it talks about all of us and I know there are several teachers in the chat, and I know there are several students in the chat.
Yes, sir.
And this next story is about a teacher. Got to give love to the teachers, and this is a teacher who took the pandemic as an opportunity to sit there, and she got permission from her principal, racked up some 3,000 frequent flyer miles, and traveled the country filming little snippets of historical sites to use in teaching her class. This is an AP teacher out of Texas, Westlake High School in Texas. She teaches AP History and AP European History. And she pretty much traveled all over filming segments for subject matter for the teaching at these locations. She turned history into a road trip, and I think it's bloody brilliant. Ry, what do you want to add to that?
This is just a great testament of using the situation that is at hand with with how COVID has changed how we have to teach right now, taking the negative and making it into a huge positive. Not only is she teaching history, but she's actually teaching history from the actual monuments and actual
Yes.
places. And she calls this trip the Great American History Road Trip. And since August 21st, quote, the 27-year teaching veteran has been visiting notable landmarks, greeting her students over video chat from a new location each day, end quote. And she's visited so many places that you would recognize, from monuments in Washington, D.C., to our local places like Jamestown and Williamsburg, and also where Alexander Hamilton and Edinburgh met for their famous fatal duel in 1804.
So wild and amazing. I think it's brilliant. I think this is the type of thing technology should allow us to do, to be able to do things like that.
Oh yeah. This is a prime example of using technology to its 10th
See,
degree.
yep, and there's another great example, Chili. He's commenting in there because I don't have the chat on the stream right now, but colleague was a world geography teacher, did that each week, watched films and pictures from all over the world, depending on the week, depending on what region they were in. That's the kind of thing that's brilliant. I love that kind of out of the box thinking, and it really gives you kind of a real world dynamic. The only other thing that could do better is, or I don't know if we could really do better, but the fact that, doing like the VR stuff and all that filming, and like when they have the stuff on where you could do the 360 view of a location, or like I remember back when Google Earth first dropped, and it was like people would use Google SketchUp to build these historic landmarks and buildings and drop them into Google Earth so you could actually see it in full 3D, just like on the map. But again, that's dating myself because I'm old now.
Yeah, this story actually brought back something that I did earlier in my bachelor's program, which you were part of one of the trips, is where I took the idea of visiting art museums and actually decided to travel outside of the area to art museums.
Yeah, we had a great time going to Carolina. Got a lot of great pictures of Skittles.
Oh yeah, and it was part, art museum, more fun at the children's museum. Yes.
And speaking of something like that, let's talk about something that is actually really kind of cool and really kind of sciencey.
Ooh, what do we got sciencey?
Well, we got sciencey. How about an animal believed to be extinct resurfacing?
Well, who's resurfaced?
This is considered a singing dog, right? Is normally found out in the Philippines or whatever. Believed to have gone extinct 50 years ago, was recently rediscovered.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is very cool. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. A lot of these dogs, rare singing dog found in the wild. The New Guinea singing dog, extremely rare breed, best known for its unique barks and howls. It actually sounds like it's singing instead of like a dog. It's really kind of cool. I've heard it a few times in a couple of things.
I've heard about them.
There were over 200 captive singing dogs at various conservation centers and zoos that were picked up in the 1970s before they believed this thing went extinct. And here it was, they found that the dogs were rediscovered in 2016 near the Grasberg Gold and Copper Mine in Papua, Indonesia. They were pretty much there. So this is really kind of awesome and cool and sciencey.
It is a treat when you go and you think there's a breed that is extinct, but with investigation and discovery, you come to find rediscover what was lost is now found. And the article on CNN in the world section, it goes into detail about how they managed to find them, how they matched them up, and how they're making sure to keep the population intact. So it's not a complete 100% with the genome, but they said it's close to 70%, close to the original genome of the dogs that were originally extinct.
Which is still, I think that is good, because it shows a lot of things where it's like if you leave well enough alone after a while, and Sometimes what you think is extinct is not actually extinct. It's just, really hard to find. Now, obviously, certain creatures like megalodons and dinosaurs are gone. Sorry,
But
except for birds.
Yeah, if they come back, Jason Statham, we can send them out there to fight for our cause.
Yes. See, Sheriff Brody, man. Sheriff Broider.
But this discovery is cool because it not only it's going to help preserve a breed, but it's going to help scientists understand one of the things that they hope to is, quote in this article, deepen our understanding of dogs before they were domesticated, end quote. So that's one cool thing because it's interesting to see how you have animals in the wild, but you also have a lot of animals domesticated, and how that translated over time. So that's
and the obsession with trying to keep certain breeds pure is actually hurting the breeds.
Yeah.
Or some of the talk like with the Arctic region and the habitat for polar bears is dwindling, yet they're finding that polar bears and brown bears are breeding together, and now we have a kind of a new species of bear that's in development. So what's that line from that movie? Life will find a way. So
life always finds a way, and then we're doomed. Let me at least get my Ghost of Tsushima done before you doom us.
That's fair.
Yes, that is fair.
Fair.
Oh yeah, I like it.
And with that, we will wish you a happy week, a happy weekend. Good luck on the first week of school for all you in school. Ry, I know you're going to need it with all that reading.
Yes, I'm swimming with the words right now.
All of our friends who are teachers, good luck, God bless, and we will see you on our next stream.
Peace.